I think the pictures in totality, especially of the outside of the body, there aren't that many. So I think when I look at torture, it's a very broad description, But again, if we say that the nails were taken for DNA purposes, collected as evidence, I don't see any other unexplained injuries on the body. So there's no clear like handcuff marks, any sort of restraint marks. There's no marks on his neck that he was strangled or pressure put on the neck. I did not see any described injury in the tongue or the mouth, the eyes. And so really when I'm looking at it, is there any other non-gunshot wound type injury? There's no unexplained bruising, that he was beaten, no broken bones other than the skull fracture or related to the chest gunshot wound. And so those are really what I'm looking at.
You have seen the postmortem report from Pakistan, Kenya, you've seen the pictures. What could you tell us? What have you analyzed looking at those pictures and the postmortem reports?
So again, I just want to highlight that the reports are handwritten as well as on the brief side. So a little bit more difficult to decipher all the details, but the pictures are very telling in that it looks like there's two separate gunshot wounds that he sustained, one to the head as well as one to the back that exited the chest. The one to the head, it's called a graze wound. It basically goes across the top of his head, but causes skull fractures and bleeding over the brain. And then the one to the chest goes through the back, out the chest, and causes injury to the lung.
Do you think that it is a normal procedure to get as many nails as you can for further examination?
So it's unclear to me exactly what they did when it comes to the fingernails. I do what's called fingernail clippings as a routine part of any homicide, any suspicious death, any definite homicide. I always take fingernail clippings. So like the white parts, the overhangs of the nails that are free from the nail bed, I clip off and collect and give as evidence for possible DNA analysis. So I think that is appropriate. I don't know if they took clippings or if they took the whole nail bed itself.
Briefly, could you tell us what are the details that you think are missing?
So when I describe any gunshot wound, it's a very detailed examination as well as description that's associated with it. So that means I work from the outside in. So I describe the actual gunshot wound, whether there's any evidence of close range fire, which is soot or stippling on the skin, the defects in the clothing. Then we go deeper into the body as to what was injured, and whether there's any exit wound and or bullet recovered from within the body or bullet fragment.
Can scientifically, medically, you can tell that how many hours one is being tortured?
So anytime you're trying to quantify an injury, how long it's been there, the real approach would be with the naked eye to look for a healing. So if anybody's cut themselves, you know that it bleeds and then the skin comes together and slowly over days you get a scab, right? Which is the body's way of healing itself. There's no way that I'm aware of that's sensitive enough to decipher hours of injury.
Could you explain us, is there any way if we can decipher which was the first shot that got to him?
The only way to tell really is that my inclination is to say that the chest wound was first, because once you're shot in the head, your heart's going to stop beating, which means you would not bleed with subsequent injuries. Now, if there's bleeding associated with the chest, I saw a bruise and I think blood collected in the chest from the back to front, like the back to chest gunshot wound. I would say that was more likely first, because again, if the head wound came subsequently, or excuse me, if the head wound came first, he would not bleed with the chest wound.